Good morning and welcome to Beitzah Daf Beitzah 28. We're a little day behind, but a lot of people still doing Yontiv, so I can't watch it anyway. So what's the difference? Shmuel cannot make it. He decided to keep second day of Yontiv, even though for the past 15 years he's kept one day. This year he decided to keep 2 days. He couldn't make it today for the filming. I'm joking. He still keeps one day as far as I know. Actually, his phone was busy, so apparently he's on the phone with somebody else, an important client, doing a business deal. You never know with Shmuel. All right, we'll start from the top of Chav Chesem and Aleph, the Mishnah. Rehuda Omer Shokal Adam Basar Keneged Akli, or Keneged Akofitz. This Gemara is going to talk about doing business with meat or with anything really on Yontiv. The problem with the Chol is a problem of doing weekday activities on Yontiv. Doesn't look good for Yom Tov if you act like the weekday, even Tasar Midrabanan. So Rehuda says you could weigh a piece of meat on a balance, and the counterweight could be a utensil or a cleaver, meat cleaver. But other things you couldn't use. Peter says you can't use a regular counterweight. Regular counterweight you can't use to weigh the meat because that's open the chol. Come to say, even using something which you don't regularly use, like a knife or a different utensil, as your counterweight is also usher, because it would be open the chol. My kol ikar. What does it mean kol ikar? What's the extra lashon at all? Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Shmuel. I feel the shamra min akbar. Even if you want to put the meat on his balance. On the scale, you want to put it in a safe place that the mice shouldn't get to it. It's still usher. Still a problem with Nechol. Amar V'idi Barabin who the Talia Betrisa, talking about Dafka where the scale is being held up by a ring, so where the scale is ready to be used to be weighing something. If it's not ready to be used, that's not like Govin Dechol. An expert butcher, he's not allowed to weigh meat with his hand. So that maybe you can't use a scale. So maybe I'll say the butcher could use his hand. He takes a piece of meat in his hand. He takes a counterweight in his other hand, according to Rashi, and he weighs the meat. He's a professional. He knows how to estimate. He can't do this because it's too professional. It looks too much like you're weighing the meat. Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel. Also, he's not allowed to put the meat in water and see how much water it displaces to estimate the weight of the meat. This also is a problem of the Chol. Mashma this Gemara that if you're not a professional, you wouldn't do a good estimation anyway, and then it would be okay. Amar Rav Chia Barashi also asks Beitzah Basar. You can't put a handle. You can't insert a piece of metal or a piece of wood to use a handle. When you're carrying a piece of meat, the pieces of meat were very big. Taking a whole calf of an animal, all the ribs, you need something to hold it. You can't do that. I'm Ravino biyada shari, but if you make the hole with your finger, you put your finger in, you make an artificial hole, then it's okay. I'm Rav Huna murtalaso simon basa. You're allowed to make a simon. You're allowed to make the meat in the shape of something that you should have a hecker. You should know the difference between kosher meat and non-kosher meat. Usually a kosher meat had some sort of simon. That's why you sell meat, it has to be packaged, it has to say what it is and say the hechsher. It has to have a simon. When he would send meat to his house, he would send from the butcher shop, he would send meat cut into a triangle. You see on the Rashi over here, is a picture of a triangle. No, it wasn't on Purim. It wasn't resemble a Hamantash. Maybe it was resemble a Hamantash. I don't know. Maybe Rabbi Bar Huna was Haman. I'm joking. Who is Haman? I don't know. He would mark it in I think it's called a tricone. A bicone is a hat that Napoleon wore with 2 edges. Tricone is, I think, with 3. Anyway, that's the shape you would do it in a triangle. That would be mutter on Yom Tov. Chia Rabbi Shimon Barebi, Chia and Shimon, the son of Rebbe, Shoklin Mana Kenegin Mana B'Yom Tov. they would weigh mana keneged mana. They would take a piece of meat that weighed a mana, and they would try to evaluate the same size type of meat. They wanted to be exact in terms of making sure they got the exact amount as each other. So they'd weigh a mana keneged mana in each hand, hold one piece that would not be within the chol. Come on, lo Rebbe. So the Gemara says, who is this like? Come on, lo Rebbe Yehuda, lo Rebbe Rabbanan. It's not like Yehuda, not like Rabbanan. Ikar Rebbe Yehuda, Amar Shokal, the Basar keneged akliyo keneged akof. It's keneged akliyo in. Can be there. Can I get another piece of meat? He wouldn't let you do it. They say you're not allowed to weigh anything at all. Inu the Avak Rabbi Yeshua. So they did like Rabbi Yeshua. The son of Rabbi Yeshua, Omer Shoklin and Mana Keneged Mana Biyomto. He says you're allowed to do this. You're allowed to weigh one piece against one piece. Amar Rabbi Yosef Halach Rabbi Yeshua. Halach follows Rabbi Yeshua. Whole Vitnan Mchoros Kavase. We learned in a Mishnah and Mchoros like him the Snan. What's the Mishnah? Psulei Mukdashin Hanasan LeHektish. Psulei Mukdashin are types of animals that you're made hektish, you're makdish the animal, and they got a mum. They can't be offered as a korban. So you have to redeem the animal for amount of money, sell it for amount of money, and use the profit that you make to buy another korban. And the animal that had a mum, you're allowed to eat with certain restrictions on the eating. You can't. There's no giza in avoda. You can't shear the wool. You can't make it do work. Hanasan lahektish, shoklan mana keneged mana. Psulei mukdashin, when you redeemed it, the money went to hektish. Shoklan mana keneged mana, they allowed you, since they wanted the meat to be as valuable as possible, because the money was going, the hektish was going to be a korban, the profit you're making off the sale. Therefore, they allowed you to be somewhat exact, and you're allowed to weigh the mana keneged mana, even though Basar Shal Mukdashin, we wanted not to mavazeh. You don't want to mavazeh it, and when you sell it, like it's common in the marketplace, mavazeh, they allowed you to do mana keneged mana, not exactly to weigh it on a kaf mozayin on a scale, but they allowed you to weigh one hand a piece of meat in one, a piece of meat in the other hand to evaluate the weight. Shokli mana keneged mana b'bechor. By a bechor, even by a bechor, they allowed you. A bechor is more. There's more room to be machmir because a bechor that gets a mum, you don't have to redeem. You redeem it. You could sell it and eat the money. The money that you sell doesn't go to hektish. It goes to the kohen, and he's able to buy an animal and chulin. It doesn't go to the mizbeach. Still, they allowed you to do a certain amount of bizayon. Lishkol mana keneged mana. So you see that the Mishnah says, Shalka mana keneged mana. So if you see, when it comes to bizayon of kodshim, they allow you to do Shalka mana keneged mana. Also, when it comes to Uvin Dechol, also type of bizayon of Yom Tov, they allow you to do it. I'm not buy v'dim alohi. Maybe you can't learn from that Mishnah. Adkan lo kamer Rabbi Shua hacha el bizayon kodshim. He only allows you over here Shalka mana keneged mana where there's no bizayon of kodshim. We're not talking about hektish over here. Well, Hasam. But over there, he wouldn't allow you in that Mishnah in Bechoros. He wouldn't hold like that Mishnah in Bechoros because there's a Bizayin Kachim. You know, I can't look on the Rabbanan Hassam. All the Rabbanan will allow to be Shokal, the Bechor, Mana, Keneged, Mana, El Mishum, the Lo Mechsiko, and the Chol, because it doesn't look like Yomavazi Yom Tov. Al the Mechsiko, and the Chol, Yomavazi Yom Tov, Lo. So now the Gemara goes back to this incident. Rav Shimon and Rav Chia, they were Shokal Mana Keneged Mana Yom Tov to be exact. Remember the Kapti Adali, it means to say they were makbid, they should have the exact amount of meat. Vahanu Shev Manis, there were 7 fish. The Asu the Beir Rebbe, they came to Rebbe's house. Fish Shak Hakamesh Minai Beir Rav Chia. Lo Kabir Rav Shimon Rebbe. Rav Shimon, who was the son of Rebbe, he only got 2 of the fish. Rav Chia, who was not the son of Rebbe, got 5 of the fish, and he wasn't makbid. So you see, why were they so makbid to be exact? That is Mana Keneged Mana. Amar Papa. It was a misappellation. We said the wrong names. Rabbi Chia, if you say Rabbi Chia was the one who was talking about Rabbi Shmuel Bar Yossi, you have to say it was him and Rabbi Shmuel Bar Yossi. Rabbi Shimon, Rabbi Ubar Kapar. If it was Rabbi Shimon, then you have to add Bar Kapar. It wasn't Rabbi Shimon Rabbi Chia. It was Rabbi Shimon Rabbi Chia. One of the people, the other people was another Tana. Masnisin. Ein mashchizin es hasakin v'yom tov. You can't sharpen a knife on Yom Tov. But you could. Usually when you wanted to sharpen a knife, you sharpened it with a special kli, a special utensil, called a wet board, I think, the article says. Against a board, you sharpen it to sharpen it the best. But what you could do is you could sharpen it on another knife. You sharpen the blades against each other, that would be sharpening That's a shinoi, and there wouldn't be as much uvdin dechol. Again, there's a problem with uvdin dechol. Amar Rav Huna lo shanu ela b'meshchezet shel even. Only talking about a stone wet board of a mashchezet shel eitz, but a board that's made of wood to sharpen it. That's not as official. That's not as professional. Mutter. That's mutter. That's not uvdin dechol. Amar Rav Huna Amar Shmuel had amar shel even aser. That it's made if the board is made out of stone, it's aser l'amar ela l'chada. It's only when you're sharpening the knife. About lahavir shem lisa, take off the grease off the knife, just scrape it against the board to take off the grease, mutter. So you see, according to this, that must be that when a wooden board, I feel l'chad mutter, even to sharpen it would be mutter. Alternatively, regards this on the end of the Mishnah, at the end of the statement, b'shal eitz mutter. By wood, it's mutter. It's only to remove the grease. Even a wooden board, you can't sharpen it. It would imply that even a stone one, you're not allowed to, on Yom Tov, even take off the grease. Now use a stone wet board, because that would be uvdin dechol aser. Alternatively, we have this statement going in our Mishnah. Mishnah says you can't sharpen a knife on Yom Tov. It's only to sharpen but in order, whatever you want to do in order to take off the grease is mutter. Implies that if you want to use another knife to sharpen it, like we said, that would be mutter. Some say the statement of Shmuel goes on the safe of the Mishnah. We only allowed you to sharpen the knife on another knife in order to take off the grease. But to sharpen it, it's aser. A sharpener, aser. You can't even take off the grease with a board that was used for sharpening knives. Who's the author of Mishnah? To sharpen a knife. I'm Rav Chisda, the local review. It's not a review to the Sani. There's no difference in Yom Tov and Shabbos except the ochel nefesh malacha that you're allowed to do to prepare food is mutter. He allows you to do things even which are preparatory for the ochel nefesh. So therefore, you need a knife to shecht an animal. Your knife is dull, so you need to sharpen it. So therefore, the machshir ochel nefesh, it's a step before the actual preparation of the food. That's also mutter. So they wouldn't be gozer within the chol if the malacha, the rice is mutter. Amalei Rav Rav Chisda Darshina Mishmeich. I heard they were darshaning in your name. Halacha Rabbi Yehuda, the halacha of Rabbi Yehuda. Amalei Yehei Rabba the Chol Kihani Shmili Amal Yasa Derusha Mishmai. He said, yeah, I hope it's good that what they said. Because it should be the Ratzon of Hashem that all my drushes should be as favorable as that one. He said in my name. I was standing in front of Rava on Yom Tov. He was sharpening a knife, or he was pressing the knife, he was scraping the knife on the rim of a basket. I asked him, are you doing it to sharpen or just take off the grease? He said, I'm doing it to take off the grease. I saw that really he was doing it to sharpen it. The reason he said that I'm just taking off the grease, he said the halacha follows Rabbi Yehuda that you're allowed to do it. You're allowed to sharpen a knife. But we don't teach people this because it's Mazalzel and Hilchos Yom Tov. I was standing in front of Mar, his Rebbe, who was Rabba. He was pressing the knife, he was scraping the knife on the edge of the millstone. What are you doing? Are you doing it to sharpen it? Or are you doing it to take off the grease? I'm doing it to take off the grease. I saw that really his intent was to sharpen it. Is like Yehuda, we don't pass, we don't tell people like that. You're allowed to show a knife. One of the halachas is before you shecht, you have to show the knife. A shochet has to show the knife to a Talmid Chacham to ascertain that it's completely smooth and doesn't have any pagamim. It doesn't have any jagged edges. Rav Mari, are you allowed to do this? Is this like uvdin dechol or not? Rav Mari braided Rav Bizna Shari. He allowed you to do it. Rabbanan asked, all the other rabbis asked. Rabbi Yosef Amar, he had a way out. Talmid Chacham roa la'atzmo. Talmid Chacham sees his own knife. Mashil la'acher. And once he checks his own knife, then he just lends it out to other shoftim, and they're able to shecht. Rav Yosef sakin she'amda mutter lechada b'yom tov. A sakin that got a little dull, you're allowed to sharpen it on Yom Tov. That it could still cut if you with a little bit of exertion, a little bit of force. So it's not completely dull. Our mission was talking about where it was completely dulled. Then talking about you're allowed to sharpen it on here, it wasn't completely dull, then you're allowed to fix it. Whether you had a socket that's got a nick on it, a knife got a nick on it, or you have a spit that you stick in the meat in order to roast it, got bent. Also to remove the ashes from a stove or a kirayim or a big stove on Yom Tov, it's subject of a machlokus in Yehuda and Rabbanon. The Sanya, even Yom Tov the Shabbos, the lochal nevesh bilvad. The Beitzah is no different. Yom Tov Shabbos is the lochal nevesh. Yehuda Matya machshir lochal nevesh. He allows even preparatory things a step before the lochal nevesh. My time with Tanakama, what's the reason? His reasoning? Amar hu levado yasa lachem. Who? It says the word who v'lo machshirov. Who? Only lochal nefesh and not. It's machshirov and not its preparation. Rabbi Yehuda Amar Kra lachem l'chol tzarchechem. Lachem includes anything you need. Tanakama. Aksiv lachem. It says lachem. What do you can do with that? Amar lacha hu lachem lo lenachrim. You can do it for yourself, but not for non-Jews. V'idach nami haksiv hu. What does Rabbi Yehuda do with the fact that it says hu? It's a limitation. Hu amar lacha aksiv hu v'ksiv lachem. You're right. On one hand, it's an inclusion to include more. Lachem, a reboy. On one hand, it's a miut. Hu? Lokash. How do you resolve the question? If you could have done that, if the knife was dull already on Erev Yom Tov, then you have no right to sharpen it on Yom Tov. But if it became dull on Yom Tov, then you're right to sharpen it because you couldn't have done it from yesterday. If the spit got bent, you can't fix it to make it straight again. Yom Tov. Pshita. Again, this is uvdin dechol. Even if you could fix it very easily just with your hand, bend it back in place, it's still aser. It's still uvdin dechol. Once you roasted meat with the spit, you can't move it anymore on Yom Tov. It becomes disgusting now, and it's muksa. He says the eitzah is that you can actually discreetly remove it and put it in a corner. It has to at least have some meat on the spit, otherwise it would be muksa. This is a sakana, it's a sharp item, so leave it around right near the bonfire or wherever you're roasting it. It's going to be dangerous. So therefore, they allowed you to discreetly move it to a corner. Of Malchio. These three teachings, the Shvuah we just said, that you can put it to the corner. Shvachos, a teaching that when you have halacha is that when a man gets married to a woman, the woman has to do certain malachos for him. But if she brings in a lot of shvachos, a lot of maidservants, she doesn't have to do any malachos. Rabbi says, even if she brings in 100 shvachos, she has to do some work. Otherwise, she's going to come to l'idei zima, she's going to go crazy, mentally crazy. So he says, Rav Malkio Paskin Lacha is like Rabbi Lezer. Gumos is another halacha. Rav Malkio said, Gumos, if a woman has two pubic hairs, she considered a gedola. Even if it has to be coming from two pores. And if you have the pores without the hairs, he says, okay, we assume the hairs fell out. Bloris, Ephraim Malkio, the Gvina of Malkia. The halacha of Bloris is talking about Bloris. They have nowadays, it's calling him a chup. You have in your front, you have, not a chup. It's actually when you have the hair, brushed over, combed over. When it's sticking up, combed over. It's a bluris. The guy used to do this for avodah zara. Some people do it. Even Jews do it. Even Haredi people do it. I've seen it. Since style now, but you're not really allowed to do it. It's for avodah zara. And Rav Malkia said the limitations when a barber cuts someone's hair and he requests a blower, he has to be marchik, he has to keep 3 tfachim away on all sides from the bloris, from making it into a bloris. Efer makla, you can't put ashes in a wound because it looks like a tattoo. And Gvina also, that cheese was coated with lard. The reason you can't eat cheese of a non-Jew is they coat it with lard. Rav Malkia said that. Rav Papa Amar, Masisa, Rav Malkia. Rav Papa argues, he says, the Breises in the Mishnayos, meaning any statement that was made by Rav Malkia or Rav Malkia on a Breis or a Mishnah, that was Rav Malkia. So that Shema Saisa, if the statement of one of these Amoraim, Rav Malkia or Rav Malkia, was on an Amoraic statement, it was going on there. That's Rav Malkiah. Rav Malkiah said that. So the Mishnayos are Malchus, Mishnayos are kings. They're more important. Their Tanoim are kings over Amoraim. My Binayu. What's the difference between Rechanina and Rav Papa? You come out of Shvachos. The difference is, the practical difference is Shvachos. Shvachos was a case that was said regarding a Mishnah. So according to Rabbi Chanina, Shvachos was said by Rav Malkiah. And according to Rav Papa, Shvachos was said by Rav Malkiah. Okay, we'll conclude the share today. Hope you have a good Yontiv. Hakaf Shniyos. Dance the night away. Bye.